And now the end is near, and so we face the final curtain. We have reached the end of season 2 of X-Men 97. And to quote David Tennant, I don't want to go. I'm not ready for X-Men 97 to be over, but you know what? It is. So we are going to have to face front true believers and face the facts that it is, in fact, no longer going to be waiting for us every week on Disney Plus. As always, I'm Christian Bladt. With me is David Brody. And what do you have there? Cyclospora. So that's Cyclops Spora. I think I bungled your joke, didn't I?
That's the joke, basically. I'm Cyclops with diarrhea.
Yeah. So Havoc, basically. Havoc is basically Cyclops.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Christina, the wisecracking blonde, thank you for being here.
Of course, I don't have diarrhea, just to clear it up with everybody.
Oh, so. Congrats.
I know.
Well, then I don't even know why we were going to do the show with her today. Nah, we kid.
Sorry to brag.
Although there's a lot of brown spots on that wall, so I'm a little...
This is pink if you're colorblind.
Those are lipstick.
Well, through the camera, it looks brown. So,
okay, sorry. Not in the chat right now is our buddy, the great Daniel Drew. And for weeks, I've been saying, Daniel, I got to remember this card that you gave me. And he's not here to appreciate it. He did tell me he would watch after. So he got me this at San Diego Comic-Con. This is an artist known as Andy Park. So Andy Park art. And there's a sketch of my favorite character, Shadowcat, on the back. And I appreciate that. I'm only like a month late for showing it. And he's not even here to appreciate the shout out. But I was looking through my badge from San Diego Comic-Con, Christina. And then I saw this ticket. And I was like, oh, yeah. I never picked up that poster for Spaceballs, the new one that they gave out the tickets after. It was down at the Marriott. Was I really going to walk there for a poster that I was never going to hang up? Well, when I was a young man, I sure would have, but not anymore.
I would have considered it for sure. Like,
yeah, well, I should have given it to you then. But in any case, Brody, I want to start with you. It's X-Men 97, season 2, episode 9, Survival of the Fittest. We now have the full second season of X-Men 97 in the rearview mirror, and I would like to get some of your thoughts.
Well, we'll talk more about it later, but I fell for the morph thing again. I fall for the morph trick every time.
I usually do. Yeah.
Every time morph gets me, it's like, it's morph. It gets me every time. The old morph trick. That being said, in my opinion, and I can give more detail at some point, this was the absolute worst written episode of the season. It was a train wreck of nonsense. It was stupidity and what the F's and why would you do that? And where was she the whole time? And what happened? And fair. That's what I say. The whole thing was just nonsense to me. Visually stunning as it always is, but
always visually stunning. Would you say it was so badly written that it might as well have been titled 2X Too Furious or also Fast X? Would one of those things be accurate to you, Brody?
To me, it was almost Secret X-Vasion. That's how I felt.
Yeah, that's rough. That is quite the condemnation. That's putting the damn in condemnation. What did you think, Christina?
Or X-Heart?
Yes. I love this show and I love every episode, and I audibly laughed a few times at the way they were just like, okay, we build up this whole season and it's just like zoop. Okay, here's the solution delivered to you immediately. No build up, no actual. It just, it seemed like they were like, all right, we undid all these threads and now we got to sort of like sew them back together real quick. And they didn't do a great job.
So
thank you.
I agree with what both of you are saying. The one thing that I thought, it was the first episode, maybe of both seasons, where it slowed down enough, like, oh yeah, they're not trying to fit too much story in here. Except maybe they should have tried to fit a little more story in there. I don't know.
Or any.
Well, there was definitely some story, We always were waiting for Havoc and Jubilee to do some kind of recreation of Darth Vader having Luke Skywalker in his sights in the first Star Wars movie,
very nice.
We did get a starship chase of some kind. And listen, the day's not a loss because Cam Egan says hello to all of us Merry Marvelites. Christina, I would have to say, though, that you, on a personal level, this episode was not a loss because we got the return of the character Isan, the Searcher, the celestial voice, which, of course, is voiced by your friend, Matthew Waterston, who is in the finale. I just figured he would be in the finale as Magneto.
So did I. Also, Ship came back too. So there's Rachel there. I love to see that they're getting work.
Yeah. And we don't have it on the books yet, but we will be doing an episode where we talk to both of them and maybe another voice actor or two about the whole season. And I can see why they wanted to wait till after the season because they have so many roles that they played in the course of the show.
Well, and they never know, like, is it going to get cut? Is it ever actually going to make it?
And last week, your friend Rachel Kimsey, Matthew's wife, was the voice of Belladonna. So, they're just throwing roles at him left and right, but that didn't necessarily make for a great episode. I don't think.
It was a rough time. I think because I remember talking about earlier in the season, how are they going to sort of wrap this up and what are they going to do with Apocalypse and all of these things? And then the moment finally comes and it was just such a whoopee cushion of the way that they handled it. And I have my opinions about the way that they're portraying Rogue as this very, very Southern, very I don't even know how to describe it, but the energy just doesn't, I don't feel like it matches the show. It just feels so out of place. And so we're seeing a lot of Rogue, obviously, because we're seeing a lot of Gambit, and then it doesn't necessarily feel like it meshes well. And there was just a lot going on. I really enjoyed the show. I watched, you blow through the episode because you're like, it's 30 minutes and the time passes so fast, but part of that is because you're like, what happened? I don't know.
Brody, last week we had some fun with the fact that you were very critical of Rogue. Did she redeem herself in any way in this episode?
I understand. Look, I appreciated she was willing to sacrifice herself, although it didn't look like she sacrificed herself. They made her into a super being. I don't know what that was about. I thought they were just going to kill her and Gambit would live and then we move on. But instead they made her like Phoenix or Celestial. And I don't understand what that was.
No, I don't either.
She loves him. I get it. She loves him. Mm-hmm. It's great. It's romantic. She's willing to sacrifice herself. Although I feel like, I know you want him to live, but you kind of wanted him to live so you could be with him.
Yeah.
So I feel like there should have been another option. I'm going to kill myself so he can live.
Yeah.
Okay. But I guess that's love, but you wanted to be with him. That doesn't solve the.
Yeah. I mean, why didn't you just, I think on YouTube, we should say, why didn't you just unalive yourself after he became unalive, then that would have been romantic. Like, oh my gosh, true love is dead. It's very, very Romeo and Juliet. And
also,
go ahead.
Do you see what this is? Do you know what that is?
The NHRA. Is that the safety board? What is that?
No, that is the lights at a drag race that count down to, right? That's a Celestial. That's all we saw of the Celestial was drag race lights. I don't know where to. Rogue was fine. She was not the problem in this episode, except when they made her a godlike being for no reason. When I thought she was sacrificing her life for him.
Yeah, I thought she would have become that. She would have become like Apocalypse, which
or dead.
Yeah. Or like, I'm going to give you the power to beat Apocalypse, but then you are going to end up real dead. What did you think about all this, Christina?
Those were one of the parts that I laughed out loud. It was also the battery charging sort of concept, 100% Celestial. It was just this, she had to plug in her iPhone real quick to get everything up to where it needed to be. I don't know.
It had fallen in water, so she had to put it in a pound of rice. And then it was able to work again, but she needed the time. I'm sorry. Finish your thought, Christina.
No, and it was such a strange. I struggle a lot in Marvel because of the everybody's the strongest, whatever. And so the way that she rolls in, just immediately dispatches Apocalypse like it was nothing, grabs it, and then we're done here. Like we built up this whole season for this big bad and it was going to be this whole thing. And she's just like, zoop, okay, we're good. And then they just wrap it up like that. I don't know. It just felt so anticlimactic that I was disappointed in my investment because I was like, wait, that was the thing. But yeah, using her in that capacity, I was confused by. They didn't use the team very well. No. They're all these people and nobody really did much. I don't know. It felt like the season was more focused on infighting, which I don't know if that was their intention because X-Men generically is like there's just a whole bunch of shit going on all the time. Yeah. And so they were just sort of like, well, that's where we'll get our conflict and the villain is not really that important, but it was a strange turn.
Yeah, I mean, and we didn't just have X-Men; we had X-Force and X-Factor, and some of those members of X-Factor, they didn't even have to pay voice actors. I think in all the times that we've seen X-Factor this season, I think Wolfsbane, who was an original, who was an original New Mutant. I know we heard her speak once because I remember the Scottish accent, but I think it was literally once. Like she's in episodes and just doesn't talk, so it doesn't matter. And multiple
what's she gonna do? She's a wolf.
She can talk. She can talk in the wolf stage. Yeah, I mean,
I understand that. She said one thing in the finale. She did say like there, but what is she gonna do against Wolverine? Like she's a wolf. She's not the most, And again, to Christina's point, Apocalypse is supposed to be the villain, but they're fighting other heroes who are literally shooting missiles at Jubilee. Now, granted, I would like Jubilee to go down in flames.
Whoa. We have no Jubilee.
Metaphorically speaking. But I mean, Havoc is Cyclops' brother and he's trying to kill the X-Men and Cable is trying to kill his parents and everyone's trying to kill everybody. It just was nonsense. And Rogue becomes a Celestial, right? She's like, wish me luck, Kurt. And then where does she go? She disappears for the whole fight, comes back after Gambit's dead. Was he not dead? He got shot and killed. And then she's back. She wasn't there for the fight. Would have been helpful if she was there for the fight. And then she kills Apocalypse. What was the point? Where was she? And how come Jean Grey can't use her psychic abilities to stop Cable? I know she can stop Cable. She stops Cable all the time. But she's like, oh, no, Cable, don't do it. What is that about?
Listen,
that was tiresome.
Yeah. You're an Omega level psychic. Stop him.
Whether Jean cut the cord so she could have YouTube TV isn't what we're talking about on here. I don't know what her relationship is with Cable.
Yeah.
See, look, it's just the three
I get
of us.
it.
We can hit that bell a lot.
She's got direct TV. Professor X does nothing. He rolls in after the fact. Cable, don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was so tiresome. But like, Cable, quit it. Cable, stop. And I'm like, what is happening?
Right. And his only answer is, it's my destiny.
Right.
What does that mean? Don't kill people.
Well, it's his destiny. And I think that this is something we've talked a lot about on this show is that characters, and Professor X is a perfect example last week, they're as powerful as they need to be for the story. And I think that a good example is an inanimate object, and that's Cable's gun, because a shot from Cable's gun can be disastrous when they want it to be, but usually it's a little pew, pew, pew. All right. Yeah, that's great. You shot a lot of people. That shot to Gambit, I guess, should have killed him, but that's the way it went,
Wait, isn't this the gun that blasted through the roof of the building and then floor by floor blasted the building?
Yeah.
But then Gambit just falls down like he's got punched in the face.
Gambit's, laughing it up. He's got reservations for Commander's Palace in New Orleans with Rogue. They're having fun. He's got like the half shirt on, which we remember that because, hey, remember the 90s. Just quickly from the chat, Chris Mack, can't stay long, but I downloaded X-Men 97 to watch with my nephew when he's over. I forgot how great this was. Listen, on the whole, this season was fun, but I don't know that they properly spun their web of storytelling. No,
they stunk the landing.
Yeah, and I mean this rushed final episode, and it's episode 9. Did they think they were getting to 10? And then all of a sudden it's like, nope, this one's gonna have to wrap it up. We got to do that, So we were at like a breakneck speed for 7 episodes. Well, I guess for 8 episodes. And then this 9th one, they're like, all right, we're going to slow it down and make sure that everything is disappointing. And, you know, what you can remember from the original animated series, Brody, is that someone was not a member of the team. And they really took him in, and he ended up being in the opening credits. And that is, of course, Kurt Wagner, the Nightcrawler. So it was so great to get to see him. And somehow Rogue's ultimate sacrifice leads to Nightcrawler saying, no, it's all right. I'll go ahead and be dead. I wasn't planning on this, but you shouldn't be dead because you're a member of the main cast, and I've just been featured this year, and it's time to go along. And this is a bit of a bummer because I love Nightcrawler. He's one of my favorite X-Men.
He's also not dead. He didn't die at the end.
Well, he sacrificed
see him die.
himself. No, I know.
No. We see him sacrificing himself, but he wasn't killed. That's first of all, everybody comes back to life. But his whole story about why he should be sacrificed, he's like, they will all go on to be happy. They will all go on to live wonderful lives. They wouldn't have led wonderful lives. It's not like Magneto is killing himself and he's like, you know what? They're better off without me. Why would they have happy lives simply because Nightcrawler died? He's not helping them have better lives. Colossus is going to paint his dead sister because Nightcrawler's dead. It didn't make any sense. They're going to go on to have wonderful lives and spread memories and joy. They would have done that if you were alive. Well, your sacrifice isn't helping their lives at all. And if Rogue dies, all right, Rogue's dead. Nightcrawler's been there 100 years already. I'd rather see Rogue die if I'm an X-Men.
Well, sure, yeah. But I guess that, Christina, the point is that Rogue is actually going to have a very happy life because she's not the one who's dead now, right?
Yeah, right? That's how this works here.
That's what he means. Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, he did have he was very heartfelt in his like, no, my sacrifice is worth it. And I had a similar thought, like, is it though? Is it like, is everybody gonna be like, oh my God, are they even gonna know? How would they know? He didn't tell anybody. He just sort of disappeared off the face of the earth. For all they know, that he like rolled out on them and was like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I don't know. And what does the sacrifice even mean? Because we didn't see anything happen.
Right. There was no sacrifice. What if he becomes a slave and they have to search all next season for him? No one's going to think he's dead. They're going to think he's just off with a Celestial, or that he's in a limbo, or he's in another reality. So there was no closure. It
was like Silver Surfer sort of capacity. Is like that they're going to utilize him.
Like in servitude to exactly, like a herald to Galactus, in servitude to the Celestials, serving, of course, Matthew Waterston as the Celestial. The cynic in me says his sacrifice will have meant so much that they'll never mention Nightcrawler again.
They'll never talk about him.
They'll do 3 more years. Won't even mention him once because he wasn't in the 97 series, not as a regular. Yes, I know he appeared. It's like, let's just get down to our core ones. And listen, here's what I'm going to say about this season as a whole. There's somebody who had a couple of moments to shine, but I think they lost their way a little bit, forgetting where their bread is buttered. We didn't get nearly enough Wolverine, and the Wolverine-centric episode was actually my least favorite one of the whole year. Mm-hmm. It was he needs to end up with the adamantium back on his bones, so we're going to force that through in 28 minutes or whatever it was. That oddly enough, that ended up being the one episode that I wasn't here to talk about. But I don't know. I mean, did you have any sense of that in this episode, that when Wolverine spoke, did you go, oh, Logan, nice of you to join us? What did you have to say? Forget it. The grown-ups will start fighting again.
Yeah, I have a similar thought about all the like main cast. I feel like this whole season has been very Rogue centric.
Yeah.
Which is a cool, like, she is one of the main cast. We're sort of following along, but everybody else was just sort of like on a spinning wheel of like, all right, here's your 2 minutes. All right, now you're gone. All right, here's your, and I don't feel like we really got to know anybody besides Rogue for this season.
And Jubilee.
Well, yeah. I mean, hey, listen, we got to know our friend Polaris. Okay,
That's
so there's some silver lining.
But do you realize?
To Christina's point, Brody, does Rogue spin you right round like a record right round? Is that possible?
No, she is not wanted, dead or alive in my book.
Keeping it current, Christina.
There you go. The fact that, again, I'm going to pick on her a little bit. The fact that Jubilee fought more in this episode than Jean Grey and Storm. The fight starts. Storm says, "I got to take down the Sentinels, but there's human pilots, but I have to do it carefully." And then we don't see her again.
Yeah,
she's gone.
I do like this. That Storm came in and is like, she basically sang a bar of stormy weather, proved it, and then she clocked out, and that was it for the season. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap on Aurora Monroe. Thank you for being here. We'll see you in season 3, maybe, just maybe.
Yeah, we'll do a dinner with her, and then she's gone. What was the point of it? Was like they took the people that were, like you said, they took the people that were too powerful for the scene. Yeah. It was like when they put Hulk and Thor in Ragnarok, because they didn't want that kind of power level in the Avengers film or whatever was going on, right? The same, like, get rid of them.
Yeah, because they couldn't take on, they couldn't try to stop Thanos in Infinity War was the point, I think, right? Right. That was when they were missing. Yeah.
Right. Let's take them out, and because they're too powerful, and we'll come up with some reason why they're off-world. Ms. Marvel can't be there when we need her.
Captain off-world.
Captain Marvel. Sorry, I forget Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel's gone until they need someone at that power level. Yeah. It's like why she won't be in Doomsday, because she could take Doctor Doom. So let's not have her in the movie, because then she just beat Doctor Doom and there'd be no movie. So that's the way this was. Like, Storm could probably be helpful against X-Force, X-Factor. So let's just have her fighting the Sentinels and not show her the whole episode. That's the kind of way it was written. It was written by a 5-year-old who's like, I'm going to make a fight and have my dolls fight, but Storm could win, so I'll leave that doll over there. And Rogue is now a celestial being, but we can't have her in the fight till later when it's too late.
So, but by the way, like, let's talk about this. Let's talk about Nightcrawler's sacrifice. So Rogue is not a celestial being. She it was like one of those zip cars that you rent and you drive it one way, and then, you're done with your payment. You just lock it up and return the keys. And it's like, that's it. So she had like a one-way rental. Like, all right, I just need this so that I can trap Apocalypse into this crystal where there's no way he will ever get out. No one will steal that. That crystal won't get broken. Yep. He will never be released from that crystal. Christina, we will never see Apocalypse again, right?
Yeah, and I found Gambit very forgiving of that whole thing with Cable, that he just like gets shot. We're all okay with that. Take him out, put in the gem, hand it back to Cable. Like, oh, silly. And then that was the end of it. And why not destroy him when you have the chance? No, why?
Hey, Brody, remember that time I shot you?
Yeah.
Let's go get a beer, huh?
Yeah. Like the guy Dick Cheney shot in the face is like, let's go hunting again. Another great reference from back in the day.
Well, it's a little bit more recent.
More recent than your typical ones, yes.
At least this century, But
and are you really going to stop a guy from killing someone when it's his destiny by saying, no, son, don't?
Right.
Yeah. I also Professor X had the great line. They could have done something great with the moment where Apocalypse had all of the X-Men under his control, and we saw that. And Professor X's solution was release them. No, you know what? I don't think I will. Why did I take control of their minds? Oh, you don't like it. Okay. Sorry, bro. Yeah. Bro code.
And how about, he says, the X-Men have always been the way we survive. And then there's a pause while Apocalypse does nothing. Nobody attacks Professor X. And then we watch what we find out is Rogue take about 30 seconds to fly in while Apocalypse does nothing and doesn't do the thing he was about to do by killing Professor Xavier. What?
Yeah.
What?
No. Yeah. No. Exactly.
This was like the old Batman TV show. I'm going to go rob the bank while this pendulum slowly gets lower, and eventually in an hour might cut you in half, and there's no way you'll get out of it. Yeah. But I'm not going to cut you in half. I'm going to just take my time with the pendulum swinging back and forth as it slowly lowers. Just kill the good guy already.
Well, I mean, I think you'd be discounting, almost every James Bond film if they waited around, or if they just shot someone and be like, okay, well, you need to be dead, so let's go ahead and have you dead at this point.
Well, in every fight scene, it's always the next guy waiting for his turn to come punch. Like, well, if all the people glommed on and just fought the main character at once, he would be dead. But instead, they all stand back and wait their turn. They let him take out that guy, and then they come in and they do a punch. So I think this is their version of that, of like, well, if we don't wait for dramatic timing when Rogue comes in, then she's just interrupting them, and then it's weird.
It's Ted Knight in Caddyshack. Well, we're waiting. And then it never happens. Lewis Cox in the chat. I will say Cable was a dick this episode. And then what happens to Gambit after he shoots first? Yeah, you did that, Cable. Deal with it. Cable has no regrets ever, and he's at least consistent with the character in the comic books in that way. He's like, no, I need to kill this guy. He's everybody's friend. Yeah, but I got to kill this guy. Why? It's my destiny.
Yeah. And what about Havoc? Havoc's his uncle, right? And
sure,
Havoc knows,
that's fair.
Havoc, right? Havoc knows his new partner, Cable, possibly might kill his brother and sister-in-law, his own parents. And Havoc's like, cool, let's get him.
I mean, listen.
And what's Wolverine doing with his claws out? Is he really going to kill Psylocke with his claws?
That's a great point. But I did enjoy a part of their fight. I like when she had the side dagger through his head and he's like, that's not going to do anything. My brain's already scrambled enough. So even in an episode that I'm very critical of, I'm like, first of all, I like that they were fighting. I like seeing those characters. That's a couple, that's a couple of greats. Like this era of Psylocke, Asian Psylocke, which, the backstory from how she went to being Captain Britain's sister to looking the way she does, it's for somebody else to look into. It's a little confusing.
I Googled it. Still don't get it.
Yeah. You had an artist who thought it would be cool to draw her Asian, and you know what? She looked way cooler. So but that might be my own personal bias, I guess.
I think it was one of those where like, oh, do we bring Sunfire back? Oh, I have a better idea. We need an Asian. Let's just make her Asian. Oh, okay. Good idea.
Yeah. Well, there were too many British people around. Important question from the great Sam Bibley. Is it true that they turned Beast blue because Stan Lee's uncle owns stakes in Blue Ink Company? I have never heard that before. Also, shout out to Rocco's Modern Life as Sam Bibley's icon there. That's a little bit more current than what I usually talk about. But Christina, that is the 20th century. I've never heard this before. I would love if that's true.
I don't know. The X-Men all wore blue at one point. So
that's true. Yeah.
Mystique is blue also.
And
that's
Nightcrawler.
True. And Nightcrawler. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is something to do with branding. It's a complete tangent, but it reminds me of the story that when Ted Turner first owned the Atlanta Braves, their games aired on the Superstation TBS, which in the Atlanta area was like a UHF channel, channel 17. Where's this going? I'll tell you. And he decided that there was a guy on the team and his nickname was going to be Channel. So on the back of his jersey, it said Channel 17. No one had ever called that gentleman Channel as an entire life, nor did they do that since. Maybe that's what it is with the blue ink. And I'm sorry, Sam Bibley's correcting me. This is Rude Dog and the Dweebs, actually, but close. Listen, he just makes me think of Spuds McKenzie. Older reference, Christina. I went back into the 80s, though. he was the original party animal.
By the way, I don't know if you can trust the Google machine.
Yeah.
But the Google machine has a much different explanation as to the blue, and it certainly isn't the big conspiracy that Stan Lee wanted to sell blue ink to his cousin's company or whatever. So
I like that idea. And, but Buddy Hackett once gave my former boss, Dennis Miller, he said that he appreciated his comedy, but why do you got to dip into the blue ink? Which was literally trying to say, like, why do you got to use all that foul language? And someone who doesn't stand for the foul language on shows like this is our friend Nate Miller. Nate, did you see the mid-credit scene? Did you watch all the way through to that?
Yes, I did. I thank you for the heads up. I made it all the way to the end.
Well, we appreciate you being able to be here. You will get partial credit, whereas both Katie and Eric have been expelled from Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters for being no-shows. But you'll get to remain when we talk about Vision Quest. Starting October 14th. We've been very critical on this episode, Nate, and I want to get your thoughts. And I will pose it this way. You and I have talked a lot about this whole season, how it's like, we got to rush through everything. We're going to tell 5 stories. No, we're going to tell 10 stories. No, we're going to go through so many issues of the comic book. And then they pump the brakes on this issue. And you're like, whew, could have used a little bit more story. What do you say, Nate?
Hey, Christian, can I interrupt for a second to honor Nate properly?
Okay.
Normally when we do this, I look to Nate to point out really interesting angles on a show as to why I shouldn't have liked it. Okay. He points out things that I go, you know what? I didn't realize that. That's a great take, Nate. And I relish Nate's insight that I miss sometimes. But what you missed, Nate, was I shredded this thing. So if you can find any reason I missed for not liking this, I am so excited, because this was just in my opinion, it was the kind of thing I was like, this is Nate bad. That's how I looked at it. So like,
oh wait, so you said it's bad with 2 D's, bad like Nate? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, bad like Nate. Yeah.
All right, but we do want to get Nate's thoughts, not what we hope he thought, Brody.
Yeah, I mean, not to disappoint Brody at all, but I thought it was awful. I thought it was dog water. I think the fight sequences were not even like really that cool. It didn't make sense. I appreciate that they tried to like explain the Cable Val team up thing in the beginning, but it really felt kind of, they were like, hey, they're teaming up together and just accept it. I don't really think there's anything I liked about this episode. I mean, okay. I think the design of the Apocalypse Gambit thing was kind of cool with the way that character looked. But juxtaposing that with the Isan apparently is now like a Make-A-Wish granter who's like, hey, rub on the magic ship lamp and now I'll just give you celestial armor, which will help you. There's so much stuff that just didn't make any sense. That it didn't feel like there was a lot of build up or setup to that, and for that matter, even with the post credit scene, I was like, what does this have to do with any of the stuff that we just saw? Like, I get that we set up, Graydon earlier, and there have been some drops about like the election and stuff happening, but like Val, X Factor's there and Cable's there, and everyone is just totally cool that Val has brand new Sentinels that are like piloted by people, and like that's totally fine, and not like a hey, whoa, what's happening here? There's just like a lot of whiplash all over the episode. I thought the dialogue between Scott and Jean and Cable was really corny and like did not make me feel anything at all. And the Nightcrawler sacrifice to me makes no sense, and having him be like, oh, I have faith, that's why. It's like, that's not, you can't just be like, oh well, he's religious, so that's why he did it. It's like, come on, dude, like do some work, write something. I don't know, it just it was all around very disappointing. I mean, I want to say it was disappointing. And the bar was already very low. I felt like the dip in quality from last season to this season is very noticeable. So like I wasn't expecting a lot, and even not expecting a lot, I was just the whole time I was like, that's what we're doing. That's the direction we're going in. Like, who's steering the ship here?
I think that the problem is that no one's actually steering the ship. I do believe it is during the at least the writing of this season that all of the behind the scenes drama was going on, and that ultimately left showrunner Bo DeMeo out in the cold. Which, boy, when you hear him tell the story, he was really done wrong. But then when you hear about everybody else who worked on the show, that perhaps there was a reason that it's not always the suits don't see your vision. Sometimes you actually have to be fired from a project because your actions have consequences. But that's not why we're here. But it felt, I did think about that, like, oh yeah, this was probably mapped out better. At least I'm gonna hope. And then it's like, we got to finish this up. We got to get this second season in the can, and we'll talk about the end credit scene in a moment. But we're still just trapped in the quagmire of the body of this episode. And Christina, I know you only have 10 more minutes, so I want to get your final thoughts on this part, and then we'll talk about the end credit scene. And Brody, Nate, and I will steer this ship with a capital S back into the barn.
Yeah, the only clarity it gave me was the sort of pan out to like, oh, that's the tower. That explains the tower card.
Yeah.
And that was it. Otherwise, no part of it was nothing cleared anything up. It really did feel like, hey, this was not meant to be the final episode.
Yeah.
And we're out of time, we're out of money. So like cram it in and we don't care.
It's almost like it was a live action production. They're like, listen, they're going to tear the sets down tomorrow. What can we get filmed today? And it was almost like, listen, they're going to clean out our offices. We have to finish this. And I was saying this earlier, Nate, it's always been weird that this is a 9-episode season. 8 or 10, I wouldn't think twice, but 9 seems like they took one away, not they gave them one extra one. And Nate, now that we've seen this episode, it kind of feels like they took something away and was like, no, you finish it up now and you'll like it.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they're at the start of the season. It feels like there's kind of a more larger thing that's being built to. And it feels like, I don't know, if I had to guess, maybe some of the episodes just had some of that stuff trimmed. And so then they were left trying to like connect the pieces together. And yeah, it really feels like there's supposed to be another episode or something that we're just not getting.
Yeah. And honestly, even an episode tacked on at the end of this was like, well, that's not going to help. Like if this story is divided over 2 episodes and, I don't know, they took their breath and, tried to write some better scenes, as you pointed out, Nate. I think this is before you came on. One of the most preposterous moments is Apocalypse takes over the minds of all the X-Men. And Chuck says, release them. And he's like, I'm Apocalypse, right? No, I'm not going to do that. We do get, a lot of head scratching things in there. And before we lose Christina, I do want to talk about this mid-credit scene, which sets up something that I definitely remember out of the comics. I don't think she shot Val Cooper. I think she shot Henry Peter Gyrich and took over his form, but it works where Mystique just, basically infiltrates the government. Nate, your point is they reference the election a couple of times. Brody, I know you would have wanted a whole animated episode where Steve Kornacki's at the big board in the the MS Now studios, and he's showing you all the counties that Graydon Creed is winning, and then they touch the map and they zoom in on the counties that President Kelly had. But instead, it's just like, the election's over. So did you feel you got robbed from some real crossover potential?
I did not see anyone eat a corn dog at the Iowa State Fair. I think that was important to have. They didn't have that. Yeah. There was no caucusing. So
where were the debates? I mean, they skipped the whole thing.
The Lincoln Douglas style debates at the table. Sure. They're eating the mutant cats. They're eating the mutant dogs.
Oh,
nothing.
My gosh. Yeah.
Nothing like that.
Go ahead. Good.
No. Still the best line of the show. No, son, don't. That's still
that was pretty good.
That's up there with release them. Yeah. No.
Mm-hmm.
And Lewis Cox, look, I agree with you. The mid-credit scene setting up season 3, I'm like, Mystique, okay, cool. One of my favorite Bad Mutants. She's a great character, and her backstory kind of ebbs and flows a lot. People mostly know her because of the portrayal in the live-action X-Men movies. I think that's where a lot of people are familiar with her. But she was in the original version of this show. So they're setting up clearly, you have an anti-mutant president now, which I don't know, Christina. I feel like this next season's going to hit a little too close to home. But this one kind of did anyway. And I guess so did Daredevil earlier this year. Coming back to it. We're not going to be able to.
And the boys.
Yeah, well, we're not going to be able to escape real world stuff. But what do you think about okay, we perfectly ended the Apocalypse story. Let's start planting the seeds for the new story right there.
Perfectly, huh?
Yeah. No, that's what they thought. That's not what I thought. That's what they decided. Like, we're all done. let's start the next tale, Christina.
I think the thing is, I no longer trust them that like, well, this will go somewhere. So like, yeah, did they show a scene with a person? They sure did. And will we ever see that person again? Who knows? Because we might see them next season. They might be like, actually, we really didn't want to do anything with that. So we just didn't, and they don't care about that. So it'd be cool to see her. They're clearly trying to lean into this like family element of like brothers and sisters and parents and children and all that stuff, so she could wrap in well with Rogue and maybe go save Nightcrawler, maybe if we ever hear about him again. So I don't know if we'll ever see her again.
Yeah, I think we will, but I think that we're going to have to remember that this happened. So we'll see Val Cooper in the new season, and she'll probably be acting an awful lot like Val Cooper, and we'll kind of forget that she's Mystique. Should we assume that Val Cooper we should assume that the real Val Cooper is dead, Brody, and then you can say what you were thinking, right? She like shot her.
Well, I was thinking like Daniel from Daredevil, that she may not be dead, but that's me. I'm the optimist. I think it's interesting that they killed Magneto and brought in Polaris immediately, and they get rid of Nightcrawler and immediately bring in Mystique.
Yeah,
as to keep the balance of blue people. You know, to keep
and magnet people
and magnet people, right?
Magnet
people. So that you think that they have a quota that
I think they have a quota.
They actually can only have one blue person.
They don't want to hear the bullshit from the blue community about how they're underrepresented.
The blue union,
the blue union, the blues. I'm sorry, the blue Americans. I don't want to improperly refer to them as blue people. Yeah. So I just think, as far as Mystique, to my point before, Nate wasn't here, I'm going to get morphed again. I'm going to get morphed now twice an episode when you don't know if it's Morph or Mystique. They have the same power, basically. At one point, they're going to be in the scene together like the two Spider-Mans. In fact, they may do that scene where they both turn into Spider-Man for a second. That'll be hilarious. Morph and Mystique.
And before we say goodbye to Christina, Lewis did point out morphing into Doc Ock for his it was cool, as Spider-Man pointing at the screen being like, Doc Ock, cool. Yep, that's Morph. Yeah, Morph did morph us a few times. Christina, if you have a final thought on your way out, and please also promote where people can see more of you, in addition to Geekscape News, where people will see you and I tomorrow morning reporting all the news for Geekscape News.
Dressed exactly like this.
I might look a lot like this too. Who knows?
Yeah, listen, I talk a bunch of shit. I'm still going to watch the show next season and season 4, because they're still pitching that it's coming out for season 4. So I'm hoping that they'll take all this criticism and sort of like maybe do some reworks. I also know that season 3 is already in the can. So who knows if they're actually going to incorporate any of this stuff, but maybe for season 4 we can expect something a little cleaner. They have so many good characters. I understand they're trying to like tap on all of them, but also like it's really hard to care when we don't see anybody longer than 30 seconds at a time, and also when they're like, Cable, don't. I just like, man, you lost me. But I'm still gonna watch because I'm a sucker.
To your point, I'm gonna give them 5 more seasons. If I'm not happy by the end of season 8, then I'll tap out. We want to let Christina get her plugs in before she has to go, Brody. And go ahead.
You can find me anywhere at Wisecracking Blonde Christina, or if you are interested in Dungeons and Dragons, we have a live play tabletop show that we show on YouTube, and that is at Heroes, the letter N, Hexes.
Right, and you've had some X-Men 97 voice actors be a part of that, haven't you?
Yeah, we are in conversation right now to go to the Uncanny Experience, which is like the X-Men based Comic-Con, essentially, that's in Minnesota. So a bunch of the cast is going to be there, and so Hexes and Heroes is sort of toting along with them to ride their coattails while they're doing all their press.
Well, that's great. Christina, thank you so much for being a part of the show and everything that we've had this year over here on Geekscape. And as I've said many times, you were invaluable, you and your husband, at San Diego Comic-Con. And we'll have more of that content to see. And I know you
promise I'm editing it.
Hey, at some point. I didn't say it'll be ready tomorrow. But wait, will it be ready tomorrow? No.
It will be. Carolina's done.
Okay.
We'll see that one tomorrow.
That's the one we want. So you'll see us with Carolina Ravassa, the voice of Polaris. In any case, thank you, Christina. We will talk to you soon on this show and, of course, on Geekscape News. Brody, you had something you wanted to say, and
Yeah,
I just needed to promote.
Of course, I am not as familiar with Morph as maybe I should be. And I see that not only he takes the shape, but he takes the powers. He gets the powers of those people. So my question is, why doesn't he just become Apocalypse?
And then beat Apocalypse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Doc Ock is cute and all, but why not just become Apocalypse or a Celestial and be done with it? What are you wasting your time on lower level characters?
The backstory on Morph is that he was a creation. He's similar to a character named Changeling, who I think is the other Summers brother, but he is, as Morph, an original creation for the series, and he was created just so that he could die in the 2-part premiere, and then they decided to bring him back at some point. But it's very confusing, Nate, that because Mystique can look like someone, but she doesn't usually have their powers. So for some reason, Morph does, doesn't he?
Yeah, I definitely think that was, that's just one of those unfortunate situations where you're like, oh, it doesn't matter what their powers are, we're going to kill them. And then another writer's like, hey, what if we brought this character back? And then now, until the end of time, or until they write off the character, everybody has to kind of try to write around the idea of like how powerful this character like truly could potentially be. And I think there are ways to explain it. I think in a show that moves as quickly and with the pace of this one, we're never going to get a scene of Morph being like, yeah, actually, I can't turn into Apocalypse because he's a bad guy or because we haven't had a conversation or something, like some type of limitation. I'm sure, somebody creative could come up with something, but I think it's just kind of, it's the same. The answer is the same as to the question of, how does Gambit Apocalypse suddenly take control of all of these X-Men's minds and to be able to turn them against Xavier? Like, that's not really something that's within Gambit's power set. That's not really something within Apocalypse's power set. Like, it just kind of is. It just is because it fits the narrative, and it gets that moment where it seems like all hope is lost, and then our Chekhov's rogue can come back into the scene and save the day. But under any extra scrutiny, it's like, well, he shouldn't be able to do that. You have three of the most powerful telepaths on the planet there. Like, there should have been more of a struggle, but it's got to fit into 25 minutes, and it just look at the pretty lights.
Yeah. And while I get
to remember that this is a kid show, and like, it has been elevated, and it comes from a long line of history, so there are adults who are fans of it. Sure. But I do think I will shoot them a little bit of bail of like, when I was watching Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I was not like, oh, how did Rita do that? How did Zordon do that? It's like, there's a little bit that you have to just go, okay, it's kind of cool. But I do think threading that line very carefully is kind of what separates shows that are being able to be enjoyed, no matter what age you are, and shows where it's like, okay, I have a fully developed frontal lobe, so this doesn't make any sense to me.
So you're saying I should suspend disbelief. When he turns into the Hulk, he's strong as the Hulk. I get that. But when he turns into Dr. Octopus, how does he get robotic metal arms?
We did see in the Weapon X lies and DVDs that the sword that when he turned it to Deadpool and it kind of like disintegrated. So I'm imagining it's an extension of him. It's some type of like organic material that he can change the atomic structure.
Right. It's just for show. So like he could shapeshift into Thanos wearing the Infinity Gauntlet, but it actually wouldn't have all the stones in it. And so he wouldn't have those powers. Daniel Drew is not here, and yet I'm still getting Daniel Drew. Thank you, Lewis Cox. I was speaking too fast. The other Summers brother is a character named Vulcan, and the character I was thinking of was actually Changeling, who was introduced in X-Men number 35, X-Men Volume 1, number 35, back in 1967. That is the white-faced natural state that Morph has, is what this guy had. So I did say mimic. I was thinking of Changeling, but apparently I was wrong. I was trying to show off too much. In no way is Changeling related to the Summers family. And their dad's a space pirate. So how about that? I mean, there's a very rich family tree there for the Summers family. But yeah, listen, we have all these questions that show up, and I don't know that we'll ever get the answers, but I think that they were kind of careful that the Dr. Octopus arms didn't seem to actually be doing anything. So you'd think he would have turned into somebody else. You know what I mean? He would have just, I don't know, been himself with like extra arms, or how about Hulk with like 6 arms? I don't
It's
know.
almost
Well,
like
you remember the Wonder Twins.
Go ahead, Nate. What were you going to say?
They have like a wheel, and they just like spin the wheel, and then whatever it lands on, that's the character that they stick in there. Because I'm like, in there's no context for why Doc Ock means anything to Psylocke, to Archangel. It didn't particularly add effectiveness to the combat. I truly think they're just like, because there was last time where they added like some random like space alien from like Shi'ar, like a really obscure character, and then sometimes it's Deadpool, so I think there's just a random wheel that they've got of like, all right, who's gonna morph gonna be this time.
Brody, you were going to invoke the Super Friends.
Yeah, the brother and sister who play the Super Friends. She could be anything she wants, and he could be water.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
yeah.
It's all he's like a bucket of, an ice toboggan. That's what he was. He turned into an ice toboggan in one episode. How's that a superpower?
It's not. It was for dumb kids.
Right. At one point, she's a pelican, and he's the water in her mouth. That's what it was.
That just sounds gross. The brother and sister, ew. But
I mean, Morph could have been an ice toboggan, but he also could have been Thor. I think Thor would have been a little more helpful.
Thor would have been more helpful. I feel like you could have Bobby Drake make you an ice toboggan if you needed to. Go ahead.
That's
Nate.
correct. Yes.
I didn't even really think too much about the Doc Ock stuff, because the thing that really pissed me off in that scene was like the Psyblade not working on Wolverine. And him being like, my brains are already scrambled. Like, 1, that's not how it works. It doesn't matter if you had your brain scrambled before. 2, this is something that we've seen literally done in the comics, and it works. It just made there was no reason for it not to work other than like, we want Wolverine to look cool. And that really pissed me off.
Yeah, he would have walked off the set. He's like, I can't get beaten up. It was like how when Bruce Lee was on the Batman live action 66 series, he couldn't get his ass kicked by Robin. He refused to let it. And I kind of get it. But yeah, it was a line that I thought was funny, but I do believe that the Psyblade is just supposed to kind of like knock you out, and a bullet to Wolverine's brain does knock him out. His healing factor has to regenerate it. What is that? X-Men 2, I think. Maybe X-Men 3. I'm trying to block that one out. But anyway, he gets shot on the porch at Bobby Drake's house, and he has to kind of lay there while his brain spits out the bullet. So it should have worked, but they didn't want it to. There's a lot of things that just didn't work in this episode, Nate. I think that's what we're saying. There's so many things. There's a long list.
This whole sequence of like Strong Guy beating this barrier down, and then they team up to bust a hole in the wall, and then Cable's like, I'm gonna make my own door. Like, we just did this. The door is open.
Yeah. No.
And as we talked about before, the gun that shoots its way through the building, floor after floor, just knocks Gambit out for a little while. Doesn't blow him to pieces. Yeah. He's just like
shoots it out of Apocalypse, and it's like pew, 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 pew. It's like, well, use the other setting. Use the punch through multiple floors setting.
Oh no, phaser was set on stun clearly.
Yeah, no, it needs to be set on extinction level event, but
no sun, don't. No sun, man. Don't.
And another thing that grinds my gears. There's nothing worse to me in media than having the bar on the screen, the bar of doom of like, oh, he's at 86% celestial energy. Huh? How are you tracking that? What does that mean?
It's like the pizza tracker from Domino's. Oh, it's gonna be here in like a few minutes.
Oh, it's at 100%. Like, huh? That pissed me off. And then they had the nerve to do it like the reflection in her eyes, like, oh, I'm seeing something so terrible. It's like, dude, come on. And then her asking Cable, what's the situation? Cut to the POV of her literally watching the whole thing in bird's eye view. Like, come on. Are we not talking the dialogue and the art team together? Like,
she's looking at his Gambit's body laying there. You're right, and she's like, "What's going on?
What's happening? Give me a status report." Also, What made Val Cooper think that she could suit up like a member of X-Force? I mean, I think that that's probably why Mystique had to kill her at the end. Spoiler, is because like, listen, it's for superheroes or supervillains. You don't get to wear the suit. Okay.
She wore it into the office one day and nobody said anything, and now she's just like, "This is my thing now. This is what I do."
She's like she's like the baseball manager who wears the uniform of the team, even though he's not a player.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, exactly. She should be Buck Showalter, who always wears the warm up over the.
Yeah, they all do that now. I don't like
they
it.
do now. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So for the most part, there was enough fun stuff in this season where I'm like, okay, I like the show. I love the characters. I do agree with what you said earlier, Nate. The first season seemed to be better laid out and, plotted all the way through to the end. And I think that, this season for me, it's a lot of like individual fun sequences. The early episode, I can't remember if it was episode 5, but the first time we saw like Jubilee really let loose. And I get it, Brody. She's not as cool as Dazzler because she doesn't have roller skates. I get it.
No blades. Yep.
Yeah. That's really what's missing, which, I guess it's the 90s, so she should have, like inline skates instead of the roller skates, but let's not split hairs. So I think that there were definitely some fun sequences, but earlier, Nate, I was saying that the one episode that I wasn't around to talk about, my least favorite was the Wolverine one. And I love Wolverine, but it was just like, you could tell, like, however you can get to him having the adamantium back on his bones at the end of 28 minutes, we don't care. And that kind of showed. Is there something that stands out for you, Nate? And I'll ask you the same thing in a moment, Brody, as being kind of the low point of the season. Was it this finale, or was it already far gone before this point, Nate?
I mean, I think these last 2 episodes, like I had my issues with the Weapon X episode, him getting the adamantium that quick. Like it did not feel very satisfying, especially as like a Wolverine fan. But I was still able to kind of buy into it. I thought the moment, especially at the end with Morph and Logan, I thought was really good. So there were some redeeming parts. I really feel like these last 2 episodes for me just have not been good. Like I feel like the buildup was not there. This is it. Like it really should have been like a 2-parter episode. Like story arc, but they really didn't structure it that way. I don't know if they decided later or something, but it felt like very start and stop. Lots of like, here's some things that are happening we're not going to explain. It's and maybe I'm just putting a lot of pressure on the the penultimate and the final episode to kind of like tie everything together. I try to view shows, especially seasons, within the whole context, because sometimes episodes that were not that great can make more sense when you discover more stuff later.
Sure.
But this really did not fulfill any of that, any of those things that left me wanting and left me like excited for more. So I also I probably will keep watching the show when the next season comes out. I think it's just kind of a really tough situation they were in, trying to follow the massive success that was the first season.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch it because I'm feeling like, is it just that we were not expecting it to be so good and it was good and that's why people loved it so much? Was it actually like really that good? Was it just better than our expectations? And why is this not connecting like in the same way? It doesn't feel as cohesive. And yeah, the ending of last season was fantastic. The build up from the episode 8 into episode 9 and then episode 10 was great, and it was satisfying. And then not only that, but they added on a very interesting story hook for next season of like, boom, now they're gone. These guys are in the future. These guys are in the past. And it was like, wow, I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. And walking away from this finale, I'm like, okay, I guess, season 1, episode 3, they get Kurt back.
Yeah.
They find out that Mystique is Val Cooper. Like I just
Magneto was never actually dead. He instantly traveled through time.
Yeah, he stayed alive in a special time chamber in Egypt, and they're gonna go dig him up or something. I do think like I'm starting to wonder if what is the lesser of two evils, is to get this kind of messy all over the place storyline that these last two episodes kind of played on, or for them to do the thing where they take a 4 or 5 issue arc comic book and compress it into one episode, because at least there is like some precedent there for the stuff that's being done. Maybe this is like stuff I haven't read or I'm not familiar with, but I found myself in this episode wishing that they had just found a book to copy and do in shorthand instead of whatever this original stuff was, because it just really was not hitting for me.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I don't think that there's ever any chance that I won't watch next season. And they're going to have to really, really wear me down for me to think that I wouldn't want to watch it. And I honestly don't legitimately think they're going to have enough seasons for me to give up on it. But I think it would be great if they took classic stories from different eras. You know, you go all the way back to, you know, the storylines from the 60s that weren't even the new X-Men and put them in those situations, you know, and I think that they did a great job in the original series and in season 1 of, you know, and in some cases, Nate, we were surprised by some of the stories that were a little bit more modern that they were telling. So yeah, it's almost like do a straight adaptation. Stop improvising and borrowing all these things. And I don't know, we'll see what we get from this season 3. Brody, I do want to get your thoughts on the season as a whole. If there are things that stand out as great or less than great, and wherever that might have been in the course of this season.
Well, I think if you compare it to season 1, it pales in comparison. I think season 1 was like, bam, we're back. We brought this great show back with great writing. And then season 2 was like, it reminded me of Born Again season 1, where it was just thrown together and pieced together. And you're like, are the episodes out of order? And did they leave things out? And did they add things in? And did the Bo DeMeo situation cost them where they found like manuscripts of half episodes and they filled in the blanks? There's not a lot that I enjoyed, and I thought the animation was great. I just thought the episodes were ridiculous, and I know it's supposed to be a show for children and adults, but at least make it. You know, you want me to suspend disbelief? Make it in the. It's like one of the episodes I said, if Luke Skywalker was wearing a Burberry scarf, it wouldn't make any sense, right? I understand he flies a jet and he's got a lightsaber and all, but things don't make sense. And they kept doing things that didn't make sense in this universe, where I just found the whole season to be a train wreck. And I think the highlight was the animation, but
sure,
the motivations, the bottle episodes, the plot not going anywhere for 3 episodes at a time. I didn't find a lot to like, other than it was visually fine. You know, like, oh, that Wolverine really looked good. His mask looked like John Byrne drew it. Like it really, it just looked good. But, you know, I think the plot disappeared the same way Rogue disappeared after she became a Celestial and didn't show up till the episode was over. Like, I don't.
Yeah. I'm inclined to agree with Nate, though, that the season really just ran out of gas in a hurry. It happened fairly quickly. It's almost like if they're like, yeah, listen, after episode 7, yeah, we'll see you next year. We'll figure out this apocalypse story. That might have been more satisfying than giving us 2 more episodes. You know, that's basically kind of what Christina was saying as well, is just that, you know, it just really felt rushed, and I trusted them to deliver because they did last year, and, you know, fond memories of the original animated series, I guess. But we shouldn't have trusted them, I guess, is what it comes down to, Nate, that we gave them too much credit because of the past body of work. We're like, they'll figure it all out in the end. This apocalypse thing is going to really be great. And then it wasn't, was it?
It was just like a textbook Deus Ex Machina of like, we've written ourselves into a situation where we have to literally have a god, a celestial, intervene to stop this bad guy. And like, even I understand like they don't want to get rid of Rogue, and like they want Nightcrawler to be this he's faithful whatever thing, so he steps in for the sacrifice. But even then, it's like our heroes didn't really do anything to stop Apocalypse. Like, I guess they went to Isan for help, but like Isan really did all of the hard work, and then in the end they're like, oh, here you go, now he's a gem. And it just felt really unsatisfying. Like, we want to see these characters have to struggle for something, have to make a personal choice, and then overcome that, and then be victorious. And it just feels like, they got robbed. Like, there was a nice moment of Rogue, getting her skin ripped off as she's flying towards Isan, and like, I'm committed, I'll do anything. And he's like, oh, really? Okay, well, don't worry, I'll give you the power to just touch his face, and then everything will go away. And I don't know, it just felt very hollow.
Yeah, I think that's really a perfect way to sum it up. That the ride was fun, and sometimes it's about the journey, because the destination certainly wasn't there. I'm intrigued to see what they do next year. My understanding is that it's a slightly restructured creative team behind the scenes, and I also think I read that it's only going to be more like a year instead of 2 years before we get it. So
yes.
So I guess
they promised annual.
Yeah. So that's what I guess we have to look forward to. In the chat, Lewis Cox says, I hope we get a revival of the 90s Spider-Man show, like in the style of X-Men 97. First of all, I would think that's great. But with Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, I can't imagine that they're going to also do another Spider-Man animated series. But maybe one day they would. But I don't think that's something that we have to.
I mean,
look forward
I would
to.
take a 90s style Avengers show.
Sure.
A 90s style Fantastic Four could be cool. Like, I would love the I think Spider-Man would be perfect. I do agree they already have one going right now, so it'd be kind of weird to like split their audience. But I would, maybe too much so, be excited for something like that, because just the nature of it having a smaller cast, I think would benefit a lot from like the writing style and animation style that they're going for. Because I think that's something that X-Men suffers from, is it has all this years of history of all these characters they've added, and they want to add new characters and all this stuff. But now suddenly you have, 25 people, and like Christina said, it's hard to care about a character when you only see them like 30 seconds in an episode. I this episode in particular, in the start when they're with like Beast in them, I was thinking to myself, man, I really would love more Beast. I would love for Hank to do something, because for the entirety of the season so far, he just kind of has been there to give like a book anecdote, and then he just fades into the background. And like, I feel like he deserves more than that.
Yeah, he flew the ship.
He did fly the ship, but it's interesting because obviously in the first live action iteration, he of course is portrayed by Kelsey Grammer, and Beast has kind of become Kelsey Grammer on Cheers, where the show is not about him, but he's got a couple of lines here and there, and then he's off probably getting drunk in the back booth. I think it would be great to service our main cast a little bit more. As cool as it is that we got X Factor, well, X Force way cooler than X Factor, but still interesting that we got X Factor. I love the X Force opening that they did. We've talked all about that stuff, but yeah, it would be great to really follow the X-Men. And to the point you made, Nate, a Fantastic Four show would be great because it's in the name. There are only 4 of them. Even if you switch out Ben for She-Hulk at some point, like they did in the comics, there's still only 4 of them. So I think that, I don't know, split up the cast in some way. They tried that this season for having them in different timelines, but they really rushed getting the gang back together, didn't they? Man?
Yeah, I would die for them to like either just split up the season or do a season where it's just like, hey, we're starting a new team, and it's just the blue and gold team or whatever, and we just follow them, or even just splitting a season up where you're bouncing between the two teams, and we get to at least sit with a core characters and their interactions, and then go and then come back. But yeah, as it is, there's just like too many people on screen.
Yeah, when you go back to go ahead. What you were going to say?
No, it's like West Coast Avengers. You had a second Avengers team because it was too many Avengers. So
right.
They tried that with Excalibur, and they did split off some of them to other things. So
literally with X-Men, for what Nate's talking about, in 1991, when they introduce X-Men Volume 2, Number 1, the Jim Lee drawn, and Chris Claremont wrote 3 whole issues of that series. They did break them up into the blue and gold team. So you had some of them, and you'd mix and match sometimes, but you had kind of dedicated, these are the characters you're going to get in this one, and these are the characters you're going to get. And let's be honest, Wolverine found his way into both of them because they knew. But for the most part, they followed, like Jean Grey was only in Uncanny, at that point, and not the self-titled one. So if they can just spread out the storytelling, I think they should slow down. If they do 10 episodes next season, let's keep it to 20 storylines, Nate, not 40. Okay.
I'll take what I can get. I mean, I will say, as long as the animation quality continues to be of the same level, there is a certain, I am okay with accepting that, like, some foods, some shows are full course meals, some shows are candy, and you watch it and you're like, wow, that looks cool. And then you don't spend, an hour with your friends talking about, well, this didn't make sense. And why didn't they do this? And that's totally fine. Not everything needs to be able to stand up to that level of scrutiny and, people pontificating about it. But I would, the depth, it's tough being a fan of these comics and these characters and stories and knowing like the depth of potential that is there. And when it's not being hit, it's hard to not like feel like you're missing something,
Yeah, no. It's, in comic books, it's when there would be a massive creative team overhaul. In movies, you get the bad sequel, you get the bad season of TV, so it is disappointing. I do still love these characters visually, no notes on the show. And I think I was on board through episode 6. Now I could go back and think, the Wolverine one was not my favorite, but I thought we were just doing that so that the rest of the season could shine. But I was very happy the first month, maybe month and a half of this show, and can't wait till we get more. And speaking of more, I guess the next actual big Marvel thing, unless they surprise us at D23 with an announcement about, say, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, I think October 14th will be the next time that we have a weekly series. It'll be Vision Quest. It just feels like at least 5 years too late for that, but I'm interested. I like Paul Bettany. I love the character of Vision in the comics. I liked the transformation from Red Vision to White Vision. I'm interested in it, but am I excited for it? I'd be lying if I said I was. What are your thoughts, Brody, as we look towards Vision Quest being our next thing?
I'm hoping for a Wolf's Bane bottle episode next season. Just Wolf's Bane.
I mean, she's a really interesting character, and there's not enough Scottish characters in the X-Men universe.
Although Siren is Scottish as well. So isn't she Scottish?
She's Irish. Just like her dad, Banshee.
I thought they were Scottish.
Wolverine used to call him Irish. Banshee.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's her dad. All right. Nice try.
Anyway. All right. I will. It's not a weekly thing, but I'm excited. I think about the Endgame re-release in September.
Sure.
And I'm optimistic about Vision Quest only because Paul Bettany is fantastic. It is a long time since we don't even know. Listen, we don't even know what's going on with Scarlet Witch. Like, we don't know since that show ended, she's maybe dead, not dead. Maybe was a body in Agatha all along. We don't know. Is she going to be in this? Probably not. So it's just going to be Vision. And I don't know, maybe a guest appearance by Hawkeye. He needs a job. I don't know.
Wow.
I'm hoping it's good.
Is he willing to work half price? Because Jeremy Renner says he's not willing to work half price.
Well, considering his movie career at the moment, he should probably work half price.
He was in a horrible snowmobile accident, right?
Yes, I know.
Yeah. So
I do. Yeah.
Some would say lucky to be alive.
Lucky to be alive. Take the half price. I mean, what are you talking about? 5 million instead of 10 million?
Yeah.
Take the money.
Yeah, and by the way, for Kate Bishop, for Haley Steinfeld, they're probably like, oh, would you take half of Jeremy Renner's paycheck? And she would say no. So I don't know why they're pinching pennies when they do, but I did want to get your thoughts, Nate, on Vision Quest, which apparently is rounding out the trilogy that began in WandaVision and took us all down the witch's road, as you remember.
I mean, I don't. I feel like I feel like Scarlet Witch should be in this. I obviously it won't be. If so, it won't be like super prominent. But if they're going to give us any type of like plot narrative closure for her character, I think this would be a good place for it. I also I was really excited about this show, when it was announced years ago, and I definitely had forgotten that it was still something that they were trying to do. So the hype levels are definitely not as high, but I love Paul Bettany. Vision is a very interesting character. I wish it was, I'm just really very iffy on these 8-episode shows from Marvel. I'm scared about their ability to get it and establish a world and make us care about something and get out in that span of time. But I don't know, opportunity to see James Spader again as Ultron. I really don't want to set too many expectations for myself. I think something Wonder Man I really enjoyed, and I really was not expecting much from that, and so I think that kind of helped facilitate that of just go in and see what it is and appreciate it for what it is. But it is hard being with a lead character that is established, that we do care about from Avengers. We've literally seen his creation, and so I don't know. I getting to see maybe some of the Billy Maximoff stuff could be very cool. This is probably, if you asked me 2 or 3 years ago, I would say, okay, here's a vehicle for us to start setting up into more Young Avengers stuff. It seems like they've kind of moved away from some of that stuff, so I'm not sure if we're gonna get the Vision kid stuff, kid, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I guess I'm just going to be cautiously optimistic. Do we know if this is a all at once thing, or will it be a weekly? Do we have any idea?
My understanding is weekly. I think a lot of times they might put 1 or 2 episodes out at once, but it is 8 episodes. I had looked that up earlier today.
Sure.
But so yeah, it'll probably take us through till pretty close to Doomsday. And the best part of Endgame being back in theaters, Brody, is that it'll be the first film released in Infinity Vision. So we will finally get to see Infinity Vision, and I'm sure it's just like IMAX, and there's going to be no notes, no complaints.
Well, did you look up what Infinity Vision is?
I thought it's Temu IMAX, isn't it?
Okay, so what they decided Infinity Vision was we are guaranteeing you will see a screen at an appropriate size of, I think it's 40 feet. Okay. And that the sound quality will be a certain level of quality. So, for instance, there's a Cinemark near here, which has wonderful screens and XD and 4D with the screens on the wall, right? But they have an Infinity Vision screen that was not an Infinity Vision screen, and nothing's changed. But it reached the level of quality. In other words, it's a stamp of approval. It's not a new type of anything. It means you've got a screen that reaches the level of quality that we will say is Infinity Vision. But it's not IMAX, because IMAX is 50 meters or 50 feet and upward. Whereas this is minimum 40 feet and really good sound. We'll call that Infinity Vision.
It seems like a confusion in branding. It's can you explain the difference between a Super Target and a Target Greatland? No, I cannot. So what is Infinity Vision? It's whatever we say it is. So yeah, I guess we'll have to see. And I for some reason I'm going to go and see a Endgame again in the theater, because I want to see the connective stuff that they're putting in for Doomsday. If I wasn't doing this show, I'd probably still see it. This just means I'll have to see it right when it comes out. Anyway, we have talked far too much about a disappointing episode at the end of the season. We did look back at the season as a whole, and we will be back soon. When, I'm not entirely sure. I know we're going to do an episode with some of the voice actors from this show, and who knows what else we'll cook up. But we look forward to returning sometime soon. But until then, Brody, where can people get more of you?
For our visual audience, that is my screen name at David Brody right there on the screen on most social media. And of course, you can find me on the Brooklyn Boys podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, 2 episodes a week.
2 episodes a week. That sounds like double the workload. I'm not interested in working that hard. But it's okay because I've never been invited because I'm not a Brooklyn boy. Lewis Cox, Infinity Vision doesn't mean crap, Brody. Yeah, I think that's what you were saying, right? They just are going to slap a Infinity Vision sticker on a theater that is right now is showing maybe the Odyssey or, maybe Super Troopers 3.
It just means it's not going to be crappy sound on a crappy small screen, but it's not like they invented anything. It's more of a grade level. It's like grade B+. So, that's a big screen and it sounds good. You are officially, Infinity Vision.
Well,
that's not like it's anything better.
That sounds great. I was always hoping my whole life to try and get a B+. So at least I'll feel that way when I get one while
there
I'm
you go.
in a seat for Infinity Vision. Nate, thank you so much for rushing through the episode. You should have watched it at like 1.5 times speed or something.
I actually did consider that, but I felt like I would be that I really probably wouldn't have liked it. So
well, if you did that though, then you'd be like, how much did that contribute to me not liking it? So you watched it at the normal speed and you're like, nope, no sir, I don't like it. But
if you watched it at 2 times the speed, Rogue would have come back sooner.
That's a great point. She would have. Nate, where can people find you out there?
You can find me all over the internet, Dog Like Nate with 2 G's. And please message me about why I should remain hopeful for next season of X.
Please do. Yeah, please message all of us. Final word from Lewis Cox. Vision Quest, I'm excited for it, but I don't know. But I feel like it might be the last new live action show from Marvel for a while. Yeah, I mean, Born Again season 3. I mean, season 3 would have to come before season 4. I might not be a B+ student, but I do understand 3 comes before 4. They don't have anything announced, but let's remember D23 is coming up. And I do feel like they want to do something with at least some of the Defenders characters. The actress who played Colleen Wing in the Netflix iteration of the Defenders characters, it says she felt like her character ended in a good spot, becoming the Iron Fist. And it's a bummer to me because I was really excited for her to be the Iron Fist, but whatever. So they have something planned and maybe they'll announce it then. And now that I'm talking about D23, I'm like, oh yeah, we're probably going to have to end up doing another one of these shows because they're going to, they don't put the good stuff at San Diego Comic-Con anymore. They save the really good stuff for D23. But we try to just give the same level of good stuff every episode right here on Marvel Movie Talk on Geekscape. And we did not 1, not 2, but 3 episodes about Spider-Man Brand New Day. And why not 4? I kept saying the same things, but we had some great people join for those episodes. If you want to look back on YouTube or on the audio feed, you'll see those, but we'll be back soon. And you can find me on social media at Christian DMZ and my personal podcast, the Blattcast, BLADTCAST. We'll be back soon. Until then, as the great Stan Lee would say, Excelsior!